Thank you. Thank you, Zach and Rodney, for just the opportunity to be part of this program. It is kind of bittersweet for me today because I am one of the companies that didn't become a business, but it doesn't mean that the process didn't work. And so it was great to have this opportunity to fail efficiently, fail cheaply. I actually didn't spend anyone's money, so it was okay. But the concept was really designed towards restaurants, and restaurants have their challenges, and that's where my experience has been. For the past 10 years, I've worked in restaurants mainly as an employee, so I felt I knew that space, the employee side. And what I've discovered is there seemed to be a lack of a consistent means to communicate expectations and then recognize and reward people for positive work performance. So I wanted to develop a solution that used positive reinforcement based on productivity and other things to kind of reward people as they're working, to set continuous goals, to engage them. And that was really designed to, eliminate the problem of turnover, or at least help reduce it. Because through my research, I found that the average in the industry tends to be around 80%, with many companies that are well over that 100%. And this becomes a cost burden because it's estimated that the cost to replace one employee is $2,400. That's lost production, the cost to hiring, the cost of training. So if I could help reduce this number, it really help save money for these companies that are operating on low margins. And the companies I was going after were a little bit larger, more like the chains of Applebee's and BW3s and O'Charlie's kind of thing. So if you look at one restaurant with 40 employees, you're looking at annual costs over $75,000. So I felt that I had an opportunity to save these people money, and that's 80% of 40 employees. So that's really where the solution came into play. And it was really based on this platform of review, recognize, reward. So it would be a robust, comprehensive solution that would review employee performance continuously through a multi-rater system, customer input, and then productivity analysis. And that productivity analysis is really where I thought we were going to differentiate ourselves. So we were going to integrate with existing solutions, compare that data to a company standard, and determine who the best employees were, and then base rewards off of that through a gamification system. So there'd be a hierarchy, people could see where they stood, constantly check it, share their accomplishments, and then the business would be able to make decisions moving forward as to who to promote within the company based on this kind of data. It turns out that the software integration was really the biggest issue, and aside from that, a cultural issue. But coming in, like Dr. D'Souza said, we had taken this concept down to Idea State U, had some success there, had gotten some pretty good feedback from people I knew in the industry from an employee perspective. I was able to validate that, yes, an automated system to share accomplishments was something that they were looking for. Gamification would make this, the workplace more enjoyable, but it really hadn't been tested to the people that were going to buy the system, and that was the managers, the executives. And it looked like early on coming into this program that we were going to be able to develop this on top of someone who's developing a new POS system. So as they develop theirs, we kind of plug in and we grow with them with new companies. But that actually fell out. So the integration piece was still an issue. But crafting the message was kind of where we needed to start. What was our value proposition, not for employees, because I got the employee piece, but what were business owners going to use this for? And essentially it was the use of objective measures and these non-monetary incentives would help be a fun and less costly way to reduce turnover, but improve morale and ultimately improve customer service, and everything else with the function of the business. So I went into the area and talked with companies. I was able to speak with the CEOs, HR directors, regional managers, and really kind of get their take and see, is this really a problem that they face? And overwhelmingly, turnover, yes, was a problem that they dealt with. They realized that the cost of it, constantly replacing people, training people, that was a tax on their efforts. But it was really the why that they thought it was so high that kind of was the burden. And it really goes to this culture aspect. So when I talk to executives about, why they thought the number was so high, well, it's because these are just part-time people anyways, or this is seasonal help. They're not really dedicated to this job. They're not going to be here very long. It's just a stepping stone. They're kind of disposable anyways. It's kind of a negative way of looking at it, but that was just the reality that they saw. That turnover, yeah, it's a problem, but it's just kind of the cost of doing business, and there's really no real reason to invest in that, in developing some sort of incentive model for people that aren't really dedicated to your business. Aside from that, the POS dependence was a problem because it proved cost prohibitive at this time with integrating into existing systems like Aloha or Micros, because up front you're paying $10,000, $15,000. So developing that was an issue. And then the number of moving parts. So each business is different. What I wanted to include was the back of the house as well as the front of the house. So it's a broad, sweeping, comprehensive solution. But every company's different. Some companies are built on a team aspect where you're sharing responsibilities. It's hard to separate, one job from another to compare, a standard that doesn't really exist for one individual person. It's more the success of the business. And talk about timing. I got this graphic this morning from an email with People Matter. They do a lot of HR studies in the industry. And it kind of shows the gap that Deloitte did a study to see what people thought was, the main contributors to a good culture in a company. And on the executive side, it's, financial performance and competitive compensation. So as long as the company's doing well and we're paying people a good wage, they'll be happy. But really on the employee side, it speaks to what I was talking about, that recognition and conversation and communication is really what they're looking for, but they're kind of lacking. And so this gap, prompted me with the advice of others to kind of make a pivot. So instead of an inward-facing program that had all these issues with integration, how could we develop a standalone system that was more outward-facing towards customers, that maybe we could get similar data, apply it to employee performance, and then kind of build into this? So that's where we pivoted to more of a customer review function. It would be a tablet device that after the meal you drop it on the table, people would fill out like a shortened survey, and then managers could have real-time data that they'd act upon, maybe in the moment or quickly after. So I went back to the companies, tested that, and really everyone seems to have a survey function. And if they don't have a survey function, they're not willing to pay for one anyways. So it's either tied to their rewards program or it's in a new system they have. But the process, the process wasn't something they were too keen on either. That we want our guests to come in, feel welcome, feel served well. We want that customer service to be welcoming, but we don't want to tax them at the end of the meal while they're at the table to, hey, fill this out for me, like I'm now pulling extra things from you. So these were the barriers for the second round. The process was not welcome. And really, there was customer fatigue with filling out surveys. So it was kind of making a pushback towards secret shoppers. And then competition. So there's new programs coming in that with table side tablets, more like Ziosk. So they offer functionality besides customer survey. Like a survey in and of itself wasn't enough. That you needed to combine bill paying and games and ordering functionality, a complete package that we just really weren't ready to develop that yet. So it's kind of back to the drawing board again, and this is really where we were. It was, maybe this could be for secret shopper functionality, maybe this could be, the Carfax for the restaurant industry. There were a lot of, maybe this could be something, but it just really wasn't focused. And this image reminds me of a time working in the restaurants where I was prepping for a busy Friday night and orders kept coming in early. I wasn't really prepared for the night. I had stuff scattered all over my station. I was kind of sloppy getting things out, and my chef came up to me, takes my pepper, grinds it into the table and said, "This is where your brain is right now." It's like, clean it up. So this is where I decided that You know, it's probably best to take a step back from this idea. There really needed to be a lot more exploration, a lot more conversations done, and really taking a fresh set of eyes to it down the road would probably be best. So with the rest of my time, Mary had actually worked with me on this concept at Idea State U, so we'd worked well together. So I decided to take the rest of my time, devote it to her, help her in whatever way she could. And really, I was feeling like I was still providing value in the program. But overall, the experience was great. So I was able to not just keep this idea in my head and think it was fantastic because I thought it was fantastic, but I was really able to go out there and test it. So that valuable exploration, being able to talk to people who were going to be my customers, and get the feedback I needed to hear, not that I wanted to hear it, but that maybe this solution wasn't right at this time. I saved money, my own money. I saved the incubator and the school's money. So I was able to fail very cheaply and efficiently. But the program was really great for everyone I met here. So not only the mentors, but the people in the community that I met. I'm really new to this area, so it was really great to get out there and explore. But it just reminded me what my passion really was, and that is the industry, that is food. I come from a culinary background. I have a culinary degree. So it really reminded me what I'm interested in. It's the people, it's the culture, it's the environment. So overall, it was a really great experience, even though it didn't turn out the way I thought. But really, I wouldn't change anything, and I'd do it again. So thank you very much.